I fear I'm falling into a bit of a slump. I am currently reading The Engineer's Wife. This is the last book on my September TBR, and I started it today, and I am 44 pages in, and I think I need to soft DNF for now. I'm not gonna put it back on the cart because I think maybe I'll get in the mood to read it during October. I'm not sure. My mom gave this to me and said, I think you're gonna love this book. So I feel bad. And 44 pages is not enough. Usually I don't DNF before, I don't know, like a quarter of that's a lie. I've done it before. I'm bored and angry. It's historical fiction, and so far she's choosing to marry a man instead of continuing the suffragette cause. And I'm just angry, and I'm not in the mood to be angry while reading a book right now. So we're gonna soft DNF, hopefully read this in October. No promises. I'm gonna put it on my pile of books that I'm supposed to read in October, and we will see if I get to it. And then I was like, what do I want to read? Because I do feel like reading. Like everything is kind of just making me feel slumpy today. I opened Sims and I closed it, and I started a YouTube video and I stopped watching, and I just feel dissatisfied today. So it's me, not the book, maybe, is what I'm thinking. But I do feel like reading, I think. So I was looking at my list of October books, and I realized I have 3 books in here: Fourth Wing, The Bribe, and Crescent City, House of Earth and Blood. Did you say the whole thing? Crescent City, that are the first in series. I have a lot of series I'm in the middle of. I love those videos, watching the ones that people are finishing the series that they're in the middle of. I didn't even realize when I made my TBR that I would have, did I realize? 3 series to start. So I can read these 3 books this week. I think it's a good little mix. 2 fantasies. I just realized I don't think I had a fantasy other than the Narnia book that I read in September. So I am craving fantasy. Maybe that's my problem. Maybe I don't want historical fiction and I want fantasy. Purely because it's a library book, I'm going to start with Fourth Wing. This is number 9 on my 10 books I wanted to read this year, and then I only have Powerless left, which I still haven't read. So I think we're going to start here. I just picked it up from the library yesterday. So I'm going to start reading it today. We're going to see where I get. For context, it's not quite October yet. I was just going to finish my September TBR before the end of the weekend because it's October Tuesday, right? So it's Saturday, but I'm just going to pretend it's October because I want to start this now. I don't know. It's Saturday. It's still September. It's a 3-day long weekend, so I don't have to go back to work until Tuesday, October. I do have to work from home a little bit this weekend. Other than that, I'm home alone. Zach is on a work trip. He took the dogs because he's going somewhere with lots of trails and parks, and he visits farms and stuff. So I'm home alone. It's me and the cat all weekend, which is kind of nice. So I am in the reading mood. I might still want to play some Sims. I made some soup. I walked to the store to pick up some groceries. I went because I was like, oh, I really want white cheddar popcorn seasoning. I have such a craving for it. So I went to the store, got a few things I need, walked home, got here, realized I didn't get the seasoning for the popcorn. So we're gonna have some salted popcorn, but I bought some chips and some chocolate, so it's gonna be a fun night of hopefully reading for a long time. 5:20. I think I'm gonna start with a coffee, and I think I'm gonna make it caffeinated and just kind of stay up tonight. I kind of like that idea, reading in bed after. Maybe I'll wash my sheets right now. Laundry is more expensive between 4 and 9 p.m. But I kind of love the idea of going to bed with clean sheets and a clean bedroom and maybe reading all night as long as I want to. Maybe I'll hold off on the coffee until I feel like I need it. Yeah. I think my goal is to finish this weekend and start the next one. I think it'll be good to do fantasy, romance, back to fantasy. We'll see if that's true. Anyway, we are going to start with Fourth Wing. I'm going to put The Engineer's Wife on pause for the week, and I hope I like it. People love this book, but I think it's also people's got them into reading fantasy book, and I already read a lot of fantasy, so I'm not sure how I'll feel about it. Hopefully it'll be good. I hate that it's a library book and I can't take the dust jacket off because I don't like it, but that's okay. I honestly don't know anything about this book. I don't know a thing. Except that there's dragons. What? It's the same author. Am I so out of it? I had no idea that Rebecca Yarros was the author of this book. How did I not know that going through this and getting it from the library and hearing everybody talk about it for the past 2 years or however long? And I just read In the Likely Event, what, 2 weeks ago? It's the same author. Okay. What? I'm just so flabbergasted that I never realized that. Actually blown my mind a little bit. Already a good start. I already have so many theories. I just started and I have so many theories about what's gonna happen. And I won't say them, but it's Divergent. So I only read the first chapter yesterday, and then I watched 2 cheesy rom-coms, and then I went to bed. I feel like reading. It's Sunday. It is, I don't have my watch on. It is 11 a.m. and we're gonna keep going because I feel like it. So that's awesome. I got some fall cozy jazz on, and I was gonna go to the mall because I feel like buying some clothes, but I don't feel like trying on the clothes. So I'm not gonna go to the mall. I'm probably just gonna stay home all day and it's gonna be wonderful. And then I'll probably do the same thing tomorrow. That's where I'll be. Yeah, he's just enemy, staying enemy. The other one's enemy to lover. Friend to enemy. That's my theory. Xaden. It is still very Divergent. It's Divergent. It just is. Okay, I'm on, just about to start chapter 10. I'm laughing and I'm making remarks every other page, I feel like. There's no lack of action, like things keep happening that are making me happy or freak out or whatever. So that's high praise. But now that I'm starting this chapter, I'm thinking, doesn't there need to be a double crosser? Like everybody that we've heard so far either is her friend or outwardly hates her and disgraces her at every turn. So I feel like there needs to be someone in the middle. And that scares me because I think there's only one option for who that would be if it's like pretending to be her friend and is gonna totally backstab her. And that makes me nervous because I think that girl friendships in books are important and they don't happen nearly often enough. That sucks, especially in fantasy books. Like it's just, I hope it doesn't break my heart. Anyway, starting chapter 10, The Gauntlet. so many emotions. It's a good book. I'm glad I'm reading it. I'm also picturing Xaden like he is 4, because why wouldn't I? So that's nice while I read this. I don't think I have a vision for anyone else yet, though. They're doing the Gauntlet, what do you call it, like obstacle course right now, and I just, with these descriptions, I can't picture what it looks like, so I'm just pretending it's like Wipeout, I guess, but harder and up a mountain. I love a good F-bomb. Anastasia. Painted wings. Shoot, do I love a power dynamic? Not in real life, but in books. Abuse that power. I'm about halfway. It's so good. This book is so good. I have this problem where I think I love Garrick because he's the strong silent type, but the problem with strong silent type is you don't actually know anything about them or where their loyalties lie. So that scares me a little bit, but at this point I really think I like him as like he reminds me of Asriel in the early ACOTAR books, of like, he's there, he's a good friend, you can trust him, but he doesn't say much, but when he does, it's like good stuff. Anyway, this is so good. I also love that there was one point where I was like, oh man, this is totally just obvious foreshadowing, and it wasn't, and I love that. And then it was, and then it wasn't, and then it kept going back and forth. Amazing. Good job, Rebecca. This is a great book. I will definitely finish it today. It's like 5 o'clock, so we're finishing this today for sure. I also don't love the fan art of her because I don't think that it possesses what people said, so I'm trying to create my own vision in my head, and I think it's one of my friends. I think I'm picturing one of my best friends as Violet, which is kind of cool, right? Sorry, what? I don't think she did. She's very good at setting a scene. Like, I can imagine it well. It's one of those books that I want to just get through because it's so good, but I also want to read slow because it's so good. Wow. I know who it was. Okay, Andarna is the best character in the book. So I finished Fourth Wing last night. I finished it and promptly went to Goodreads and rated it 5 stars. This is a 5-star book. This was so good. This was so good. Even though it still has the ties to Divergent and it's not the greatest writing in the world, I went into it knowing that, so I thoroughly enjoyed this. The very last few lines, I went, I knew it. I called it, and I felt really proud of myself, and then I realized, well, I called it about 10 pages earlier, so does that count? Not really. I had notes, and now I don't remember what they are. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I don't love Violet. I thought I did, and then I didn't, and then I did, and then I still don't. My favorite thing about this book, it's not a spoiler, is that miscommunication is not the conflict. Hallelujah. That is the worst conflict. It's not the conflict. I've heard that people don't like the second book as much, but I am excited to read it. I think I will have to read it soon. Like, I know I'm gonna reread this book one day because I enjoy it that much. So that is a 5-star book to me. It's not 6 stars because I almost put it down to 4.5 because I don't remember why. But it's 5 stars because I will keep thinking about it, and that kind of makes that extra jump obvious to me. There were times in here too where I was like, oh, I wish we had other perspectives throughout the book, and it was kind of a dual POV. I think it's well done that it's not, but sometimes I wished it was. Oh, my October TBR, and I finished it September 29th, but that's okay. I grabbed The Bribe by Devney Perry. I'm excited to read this. I love a good palate cleanser after a thick. I mean, that kind of is a palate cleanser on its own. So I was debating just going straight to Crescent City, but I think I'm in for a romance right now. I read the first book in the Eden series on my Kindle last year, I think, and I wanted to keep going, but they're actually hard to find, and on the Kindle they're kind of expensive. This was also kind of hard to find, this copy. I had to go to her website and find the link to Amazon, because on Amazon I couldn't find the copy that didn't have the naked man on it, and I think this was cheaper. But I went to her website, not Devney Perry, Willa Nash website, went to the Calamity Montana series, clicked the Bribe flower version, and it took me to Amazon, but I couldn't find it on Amazon. Anyway, so this was hard to find, so I hope it lives up, because I did like the first of the Eden books. Because it wasn't just straight romance and there was other storylines to follow, it wasn't like the best book in the world, but for a romance it was quite good, and I hope that this is similar, because this is beautiful and I would love to own all of them. I think this is a beautiful book, but I'll just have to do that with all of them. I haven't read the back. I don't know what it's about. I have no idea. But yeah, we're gonna start this now. I have my coffee and I'm ready to read. Perfect latte. Perfect. Oh. It's just one page and then it starts. Usually there's like an acknowledgement or another title page. So it is a few days later already, and I finally finished The Bribe last night. It is 300 pages, and it took me, I didn't read most of the week. I found that with this book, when I was reading it, I was enjoying it, but every time I put it down, I was not eager to pick it back up. So yesterday I was thinking it's a 4-star, but because of that, I'm thinking like 3.5 stars probably. I really like Duke. I think as far as male love interests go, he's a very good one to have. Like, he's a good guy. It was very instant love, and they didn't even know anything about each other yet, and that always really bothers me, because like, she's coming from this traumatic experience and she is going into a relationship with someone who she doesn't really know. Like, it's a little bit scary to do. So that was questionable to me. I was like a third of the way through, and then I was like, oh, we're already done that part, which made me think that the end was going to be different than it was. So I'm glad that I got called out there and it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I enjoyed reading it. I will continue the series. The next book I think is from Everly's perspective, which is her best friend. And I didn't love Everly. We didn't see her a ton, but when we did, I was like, oh, questionable brain. Like, I didn't find her to make the smartest decisions. So I'm not sure if that will lead into the next book, which could make for an interesting story. So I'm definitely down to read it if I can find this cover of it. Before I knew that it was Everly's book, we met a lot of characters where I was like, oh, are they gonna get a book? Are they gonna get a book? Because I like this person. Like, I hope eventually Grayson gets one. And I'm wondering what the whole story with Travis is gonna turn into, because he's quite young, so maybe he'd get like the last one when he's older. I don't know what the timeline looks like there. As for like the spice level, there were a couple of scenes, but I didn't think that they were written well enough to actually, like, they were kind of more comical than hot, which I'm okay with. I think that's kind of funny. I don't know what else to say about that. Like, I'd say that there was spice in this book, but it made me laugh more than it made me feel anything else, because I was like, that's the word choice you're going with? Her description of characters is good. Like, I would definitely compare it to the Eden series. I've only read the first book, but I did like that one more than this. I think that one I did rate a 4-star, and this is a 3.5 to me. But like, similar writing, and you're getting like a secondary story in the main story, which is always nice. just so that it's not just about the romance and their relationship, but it's like the other factors related to their relationship. It was a good book. I'm glad I read it. I finished it last night. I was about a third of the way through yesterday, and then I was like, you know what, I just have to finish it or I'm not gonna finish it that fast, and I want to move on. So that's kind of why I'm giving it a 3.5. So yeah, I'm done with The Bribe. And then I started Crescent City. So I am now 2 chapters in. So it's really just, I have nothing to say yet. It's a lot of world building and me getting used to their world. And you know, it's always good when they have like descriptions, like the first page has a description of all the different houses and who's in those houses and what they mean. And I've had to reference it maybe twice so far, but that's more just because I want to. I think that she'll explain it. As with all fantasy books, you kind of have to keep reading and be like, I hope it will make sense at one point, because I've read a couple of paragraphs multiple times just to try to make sense of it, and I'm like, you know what, it'll come to me at one point. Similar to the other Sarah J Maas books, probably, because those ones I think I want to reread just to see what I missed the first time around. So I think this will be similar, where with most fantasy books, you just gotta kind of strap in and hope that you understand it at some point. I don't have much to say yet, other than I love that the female main character's name is Bryce. I think that's so cool. I love girls with boy names. It's one of my favorite things ever. So that's where we're at with that. So this is the 3rd series. This is the final series that I am starting this month. I will keep reading for a little bit today. Yeah, it's Saturday. I think that I just do have to power through at the start of a fantasy book so that I want to keep going. Perfect day for it. And then we'll go out tonight. Oh, I did want to go to the mall. I will go to the mall. Someone tell me why I'm already giddy 40 pages in. I love it. It's cute. There's some cute stuff. And a reference to ACOTAR, which is cool. I love that after a book that was difficult to read, I'm finally reading one that I'm like, I'd rather read than watch TV or do anything else. So that's fun. I actually also decided not to go to the mall today because I just want to keep going. Plot twist 70 pages in. Who does that? Who does that? I'm on chapter 7, and I love this book already. I love it already. I almost wish I didn't have plans all weekend so that I could just keep reading. So it's the next day. I'm about halfway through the book and I'm obsessed. All I want to do is read. I had stuff to do today and I just didn't want to. It's so good. And also, I have read Sarah J Maas, so I'm trying so hard not to become attached to any of the characters. And I'm so attached. Like, I'm just thinking about the first book of most of her books, and people, like, the relationships that you think are gonna stick just crumble, and I'm like, oh, don't let it happen. I also have Goldfinch, the last book of the Plated Prisoner series, on my list to read this month, and actually Hunt reminds me so much of King Rot. Like, they're so similar to me in his first showing. Which book was he in, the first one or the second one? Anyway, whatever book where you kind of get to know him more, that's who Hunt reminds me of, and I love it because he's one of my favorite characters written in any fantasy book ever. I just want to, I keep guessing things and they're right and then they're wrong, and then, you know, how she goes back and forth. So anytime something happens, I'm like, oh, this is not going to be what it ends up actually being. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. And I picked some really nice tab colors that go perfectly with the front of the book. I'm not annotating a ton, but I do when I'm reading, especially a big book where anything makes me feel anything, I'll just highlight it and do a quick tab. That's all the update I have. Like, I don't want to give too much away, but once you know the world is amazing. There are sometimes where they talk about people and I'm like, oh, I know I've read that name and I don't remember who it is just because there's so many names. But other than that, like, it's very much, if you like any Sarah J Maas book, you will still like this book. She writes such good complex worlds that you just got to keep reading, and then you figure it out, and you do. We have people coming over in a few hours, so I'm only going to be able to read for like 2 more hours, and then I'll do a speed clean, make dinner, all that kind of stuff. That's all the update I have. There's not too much to talk about in the sense that nothing would make sense if you don't know the world. Finished Crescent City yesterday. I think I was done at like 10 p.m. but good timing. I loved it. I think I've been trying to think about my rating because I don't think it's 5 stars, which is fine. Like, it's 4.5, I think. Yeah, I'm gonna say it's 4.5 stars for me. There were parts that I didn't think needed to be there, but like, man, Sarah J Maas's writing is so good because you're expecting something and then you're like, I know I shouldn't expect that because she always does the unexpected, and then you kind of start thinking of other things and then it just takes you somewhere completely different. I think Bryce she's so good at writing strong female characters, for real. Like, her female main characters are always so badass in the right way, where like they're still human, but not always. But like, they have very human behaviors and feelings and emotions, and they're still badass. I still think that Hunt really reminds me of King Rot. I'm so excited to keep reading the Plated Prisoner books because he's amazing, and Hunt really reminds me of him. I was crying. I cried last night. I don't know. I'm trying to think if I've ever read a Sarah J Maas book and not had tears at least once. I don't know that I have. Part of me thinks that this could have been a standalone. I'm not like, I know where it's gonna go in the next one, but I'm not sure how riveting it will be compared to this one, because this really, like, a lot happened in this book. I guess it's gonna be more political, on the political side, based on how it ended. I don't know when I'll buy it. I just got a gift card from someone, so probably gonna spend it on the second book. Maybe I'll get it and read it next month. We'll see. I feel like I had more thoughts and I don't remember what they are. It's very slow burn romance, which is good. Like, I would say, as far as her romantasy books goes, the romance in this is not very much. It's actually more friendship. The friendship part of it is really beautiful. It had me disliking characters that I thought I liked and liking characters that I thought I disliked, and then switching it back and then switching it back and then switching it back, because they're so real. Yeah, no one is one-dimensional, which just makes for a much better story, right? And the surprises just kept coming. Like, the plot twists, I didn't see them coming. It's so nice when someone can write a plot twist that you're like, oh, I wouldn't have guessed that, but it makes sense. Because it's the worst when it's like, I wouldn't have guessed that, don't think it makes sense, doesn't really fit. But her plot twists all fit. They all make sense. She's so good at foreshadowing, and you don't realize she's foreshadowing. There's so many moments where I was like, oh, I have to reread this book because I like remember a glimpse of something happening when it comes up later, but I don't. A few times even when I went back to check, because I was like, I know that they talked about this and I think it was worded differently. Anyway, it's really good. So that concludes this. I read Fourth Wing, which I still have. I don't know, I should bring back to the library. And I read, what did I all read? Fourth Wing, The Bribe, and Crescent City. That's a pretty good 3 books for this
challenge of starting 3 new series, which I am going to continue all of them. So I should probably update my reading journal and write in those series and keep going and maybe finish a few series. Maybe that's the next step, finish a few series. But thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.